What is going on, New York Giants fans? Hit Squad back at it with another video. We are doing Giants and Friends episode 8 today. I've been looking forward to this video. It's going to be a great one. I got the Coach Edd Gladney here with us. Man, I mean, it is an honor to have this guy on. I mean, even chatting with him prior to the stream. I mean, just a great dude. Please subscribe to his channel. We got it in the description below. You can also check out his League of Alliance, which we're going to talk about as well. They are doing incredible things, and you can find the link to their website in the description box below. But Coach, how are you, man? How's everything going? How's life?
Peace and blessings, man. I'm good. I appreciate you having me on today. It's an honor to be on your show. I'm amazed at the things that you're doing. You and everyone else in the Big Blue Crew. So, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. And again, thank you for taking the time to stop by. I see we got a couple people in the chat. What is going on? Giant Opinion Sports, Jaden, what is going on? Thank you guys for stopping by. We got quite a bit to talk about today. We're going to talk about OTAs. We're going to be talking about an article that Coach Ed had showed me prior to the show, and I took a look into it myself, and it's honestly pretty intriguing, and I think that it could be something that the Giants consider. We're also going to be talking about players that we think that could improve this season, maybe even being potential breakouts. But let's get into this. So, Coach, with
Hmm.
OTAs here, obviously, it's practice. We want to get these players familiar with the playbook, familiar with the scheme. Um, I mean, just all across the board. I mean, you're seeing videos and reports that DJ is looking good. You're seeing, the connection with Darius Slayton is still there. The defense is looking pretty good as well. We're seeing the offensive line so far. I mean, what are your takeaways from these OTAs? I know at the moment we don't want to get our hopes up. We don't want to keep them too high, but it's nice to see these guys back on the field, and I think that this is a year that we could all be excited for.
No, I agree with you. It's an exciting time after what we've been through. The past few years. With past leadership and coaches. Some dysfunction. Well, not some. A lot of dysfunction. So right now it seems like we're headed in the right direction. So I'm very excited to see what Coach Dable brings to the organization. What Shane, General Manager Shane, what he continues to do. The moves that he continues to do. I mean, he's done an amazing job so far. So I'm excited to see things go and see how things go and just take it from there. As a Giants fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, when you look at how the Giants been since what, 2016, you can make
Hmm.
the argument it's been longer. I mean, we've been underperforming, we've been underwhelming. Last year I was one of those fans that I genuinely thought with the additions that we made, we were going to be in a good spot. I was predicting us to at least get 10 wins. Obviously, I look a little crazy, but
No.
I mean, I really think that when you look at the additions that this team has made in just this season alone, and you look at the culture that they're trying to establish, I mean, I think that Leonard Williams said it best. I mean, it's contagious. The
Hmm.
energy feels different. And I'll be honest. I said that when Joe Judge first came here. I thought the energy was different, and
Hmm.
obviously we had to see it translate to the field, but I feel that this team is going to take a step forward that is going to really catch the league by surprise. A lot of people think that we're going to be this 4-win, 5-win team, and I'll be honest with you, Coach, I just don't see that. I just don't
Well,
see it.
I mean, I do understand that. I mean, I've been one that says that I think the floor is 6 wins, but the ceiling is about 11 wins. So there is a wide range. I mean, there are a lot of things that have to fall in place. One of the biggest things is no injuries. Please, no injuries. Last year it just seemed like we were a mash unit. So um, that's the biggest thing. But if most of the guys can stay healthy, I think that the production will be there, and um, one of the other biggest factors is to me is, as I call, trench warfare. That's the offensive line and the defensive line, because without either of them, guys can't do anything. It doesn't matter if you're a defensive back, a
Absolutely.
receiver, anyone. So those are those go into the wins and losses more than anything for me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, I just want to see this team be competitive. I want to see
Hmm.
this team, at least, if we're going to play a team and we fall short, I want to leave that game knowing, okay, the offense looked pretty good, or the defense looked pretty good. Maybe we got to tweak a couple things here and there,
Hmm.
but we competed.
Hmm.
Last year, I'm over here banging my tables, hoping and praying that we could score a touchdown. And that just,
Hmm.
in modern day NFL, that's just insane. That's so insane.
In all my years of being around football, coaching, studying, analyzing, talking, I don't care what level, I have never seen an offense like that last year. And to me, that was just disrespectful to the game. I mean, because if you're professionals, you need to put a product on the field, that, shows that you're out there really, putting in the work. And, it left me wondering, what the heck are these guys doing? I mean, I've seen youth coaches who can do a better job than what they
Yeah.
did last year.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even lying, and that's the craziest thing to me is that it would if it's one thing if we didn't have the talent. I mean, our offensive line, yeah, was terrible. It was abysmal, but
Mhm.
just the simple fact that we couldn't stretch the field, the simple fact that you go and sign Kenny Galladay to be your number
Mhm.
one, and you're just using him as a distraction, as a
Mhm.
decoy. I mean, I completely understand, the frustration with the team, just I mean, we could even talk about, the QB sneak. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just to me, it was embarrassing. It was really sad just as a fan of the NFL because that's just uncommon. I mean, even the Bears, I mean, were able to stretch the field. I mean, you look
Mhm.
at teams that, in my opinion, I think have worse quarterbacks than we do. They didn't have an
Mhm.
issue scoring, and with us, it just felt like a mission. Just to get to the 50-yard line.
Mhm.
So, I think that this team could be a lot better than what a lot of people think that it can be. I think that there's potential with this team. And, I don't know about you, coach. I am ecstatic to see how this offensive line looks this year because on paper, it looks great, in my opinion. I think that this is probably the best offensive line that we've had in quite some time, just again, on paper.
No, I agree. I am intrigued. I mean, like I said, being that I played D line in college, that's the first thing that I look at. I always watch the trenches, and the offensive line, how they gel together, how they work together, how do they pick up and work their combo blocks. Getting to second level, just little things like that. The unspoken language. In terms of how do you pick up stunts? I mean, we all know Hernandez. Oh my gosh, that
God,
I just can't fathom how he could not pick up a twist, a simple basic twist, and you ride, push, release to your teammate, and you slide and pick up, and it's simple. I mean, he's a strong man, but it just so yes, the offensive line, seeing the gel, seeing how they work together, what guys, are going to be out there, are, we going to pick up any other, offensive linemen, things of that nature. So,
yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that you have your two bookend tackles with Neil and Andrew Thomas. I
hmm.
mean, I think that Neil could be, if not a top three tackle, a top two tackle, at some point in the near future when we're looking at, the grand scheme of things. I mean, I know that there's some things that he has to work on, but just
Hmm.
the upside that this kid has. And then you look at Glowinski, I think that that's an immediate upgrade. Um,
Hmm.
over the right guard position. Feliciano, I mean, look, that's there's some fans that have questions about Feliciano, and I get
Mhm,
it completely. And
mhm,
I advocated prior to us signing him that I thought the Giants should at least go out and look at him because I thought at least schematically it made sense. And
mhm,
shoot, we needed help anyways on the O line.
mhm,
Um, Now the left guard, I mean, I think to me that's probably the most intriguing side right now on the offensive line. Is that going to be Shea Lemieux? Is that going to be Azudu? Is that going to be Matt Garcia? It's really just open. I don't think any of these players are going to beat out Glowinski. I'm not really confident outside of Neal and Thomas at the tackle position. So I mean, for me, center and left guard are where I'm looking at this offensive line. But again, I mean, I still think that this offensive line, is going to be miles ahead than what some
mhm,
fans may think,
mhm,
and
mhm,
it's only going to help DJ, which I definitely want to talk about DJ a little bit. It's going to help Saquon Barkley. I
mhm,
mean, it's there's a lot to be excited about, and again, I know we don't want to get our hopes up, but
mhm,
it's just it feels different this time around. I can't say it just feels different.
mhm,
Um, but before anything, because I am way behind on this chat. I see we got some more people in here. Mark the Blue Giant, thank you for stopping by. What is going on, man? Jaden, what is going on? He says, I think we could get 8 to 9 wins, which would be solid.
mhm,
Yeah, I mean, I got us at 9 wins, possibly even 10 wins, if I'm being honest. But if we're at 8 through 9 wins, I'm not upset at all.
mhm.
Uh, it would nice to be 500. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It would be nice. Um, Now what's going on, Super Taj? How are you doing, brother? Matt, the
Gosh.
Giants fan. What's going on? NYG Jeff, what is going on, brother? Miss Rodney, what is going on? Um, Rodney says everyone is not sure because they want to see how DJ responds to this new coaching. I
Mhm,
mean, she got a point there.
mhm,
And look, I think that the best thing that happened in DJ's career is getting Brian Dable. I mean, this is a
mhm,
guy, you're seeing how what he did with Josh Allen. I'm not expecting the same results, but I am expecting a coach that can get the most out of his quarterback because we sure as hell wasn't getting that with Jason Garrett and his prehistoric offense.
mhm.
So, I mean, do you have any expectations for DJ at this point going forward in this season? Are there things that you want to see with the kid in his game and where he can improve on?
Number one, I mean, he's worked at it so far, and it's what I call don't give away the money. When I coach defense, I always tell them go get that money, which is the football. The same thing on offense. Don't give away that money. So it's protecting the ball. Now, he's done that, but on the same token, he hasn't taken the risk. So it's a matter of getting that even balance, being aggressive, but being smart with your aggressiveness, but also not putting the ball in harm's way. So, I mean, he has the skill sets. I was doing a little research earlier, and I mean, he's exactly at 1,000 yards rushing since 2019. That's an average of 5.81 yards per game.
Yeah, it
I mean,
is.
per attempt. I'm sorry, and he's third in the league. He's the third highest in the NFL among players with at least 150 attempts in that span. And the only two ahead of him are Lamar Jackson, he's at 6.36, and then Seahawks running back Rashard Penny at 5.91. So his ability to run is there, which helps in setting up the RPOs and setting up the passing game, because teams can't just go balls to the wall and going all out, because if he continues to develop his pocket awareness and then get out into the alleys and then get downfield, you put the defense in conflict. So when you do that, it opens up the offense even more. So those are some of the things that I'm really looking for, how the coaching staff really uses him, and then how he develops. Yes, they're working at him throwing the ball downfield, getting the ball, being aggressive, and I like that. So I hope he's not too gun shy from what he's experienced, and he becomes a little bit more aggressive, and he puts that ball downfield. I mean, we all have seen that his deep ball, especially down the sideline, is one of the most beautiful passes out there, and he can put it out there, especially if the receivers give him enough cushion between the boundary and the sideline. So the skill set is there. It's just a
Mhm.
continued development, and finally, because he's playing on his fourth year and doesn't have that fifth year, is he hungry? Can he say, "Look, I gotta produce because otherwise I'm not going to be out here eating." So,
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you hit it on the head. I'm gonna be honest because I think that there's traits that DJ, has that are
mhm,
winning traits. I mean, I think he has the arm. I think he has the athleticism. Obviously, there's things that he has to work on. And
mhm,
I don't want to be, one of those people that's coming off like I'm giving excuses, but I don't see it as excuses. I just see it as facts. Yes, there's things that he has to work on, but I can't
mhm,
overlook the fact that a lot of his receiving core was injured. I can't look at the fact that
mhm,
Saquon was injured. I can't look past the fact that this O line was horrible. I can't look past the fact that Jason Garrett and then um oh my god, I can't remember his name at the moment from the Cleveland Browns head coach, Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie
Freddie
Kitchens,
Kitchens was his offensive coordinator. I mean,
mhm,
I can't look past that. I really can't. And it's no coincidence that the last time we saw this kid look like, in my opinion, an NFL quarterback stretching the field, making tight throws. I mean, was when he had an offensive coach in Pat Shermer.
mhm, mhm,
It's no surprise. And I think that you bring in someone that, trained and coached with Patrick Mahomes. You bring in someone
mhm,
that helped mold Josh Allen. Those are two of the best QBs in the league. You are in a prime position right now to even if it doesn't work with the Giants,
mhm,
to gain knowledge, improve your game, and if you're not going to win with the Giants, I mean, you could at least compete for a starting position on another NFL roster.
mhm,
And fans constantly bash this kid, which I don't get. You would think that he's like Evan Ingram, who's dropping balls off of his hands, causing interceptions. I mean, a lot of DJ's interceptions
mhm,
came off of Evan Ingram's hands. If we keep it
mhm,
a buck.
mhm,
Um, and look, again, there's things that he has to work on. I think he has to get through his progressions a little bit better. I
mhm,
think that a lot of people see him as a one read quarterback. In my opinion, I think that that was more or less Joe Judge and Jason Garrett
mhm,
in my opinion. And I know that a lot of people look at his fumbles, but I thought he actually improved in that aspect last season compared to the seasons prior. And in that clip that's been getting posted everywhere on the internet of Daniel Jones, coming out of the pocket, protecting the rock with two hands, tucking it
mhm,
in, and then throwing a
mhm.
dime. I mean, he's in a very good situation right now to succeed. Now
Exactly.
he has to put it all together, just
Mhm,
like any other player at any other position, they got to put it together. But I think that he can. I really think that he
mhm.
can.
See, Jeff said it best. He said the problem with Jones is mainly is mental. He needs to have confidence in himself, his playmakers, his O line, and his talent. And as you said, if he
Yeah,
hasn't had the coaching, the skill set, guys are out in and out of the lineup. You can't build the continuity. So yes, he's been set up. He has not been put in a position to be successful. So, and that's going to take away from your confidence. And if it does that, you're going to question, you're going to second guess. And as a player, if you go out there and you're thinking too much, you're not going to produce. You just have to go
absolutely.
out there and let it go. Be reactive. Just what do you see the defense? You got your pre-snap reads. Once the ball is snapped, are they staying true, or are they rolling coverage? Are they bringing a blitz? Those are the things that he needs to do.
Yeah.
Be confident in what do your eyes tell you. And then with that, you just play the game.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%, coach. And again, I think that he's in a prime position to succeed. I mean, you look
Hmm.
at the additions that they made at the O line. I think that Saquon is looking, a
Hmm.
little quicker on his feet. I don't
Hmm.
know, man. I mean, he's looking like he's trying to prove a point. So I mean, if you telling me I got Wandale, I got Galladay, I got Tony, I got a better offensive line, I got a healthy Saquon Barkley, and most importantly, I have a coach that's going to use us to the best of our abilities, that's
Hmm.
known for having a good offense. I mean,
Hmm.
man, if I'm DJ, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited just to even gain knowledge because I mean, let's be honest. I liked Pat Shermer, but in my opinion, he was an average coach. He was an
Mhm.
average offensive coach, even when he was with the Vikings, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
you go from that to Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. I mean, and Judge wanted to get rid of Garrett after the first season, and he wasn't allowed to.
Mhm.
So
Dysfunction. That's basic.
absolutely,
So and that's goes into building his confidence, because is he confident in the coaching staff, the general manager, the ownership, that goes across the board. So if he has like I said earlier, he has the skill set. So
yep,
it's a matter of building the confidence and trusting in himself and what he sees. And again, you can't have a worse offensive line that you had the past couple of years. So if
absolutely.
he can feel confident in his offensive line, they can give him a good pocket, or he can feel the alleys and step in, slide, and get the ball to his playmakers, then he's in a position to be successful. But as I said, and I'll continue to harp on it, goes back to his confidence. If he's not
Mhm.
confident, it doesn't matter what type of skill set, what anything. If you're not confident in the game of football, as a player, as a coach, whatever, you're not going to succeed.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And look, again, there's traits with this kid that I think that we can work with. I mean, I think that this kid is a silent leader. Eli
Hmm.
was a silent leader, but I think Eli earned that.
Hmm.
But with Jones, I mean, I think that he could be that silent leader. You're getting a kid that's going to come in, study this playbook. He's not going to take a day off. We've seen him truck defensive linemen, which
Hmm.
what quarterback outside of Josh Allen, maybe Big Ben,
Hmm.
in his prime years. What quarterback is doing that? And
Exactly.
not even a defensive end, a defensive tackle. I mean, truck this dude to get a point. I mean, there's been a lot of what we would consider boneheaded decisions with DJ where, he's gotten injured because he's taken a hit.
Hmm.
And he's got to learn how to slide better. He's got to learn how to protect the ball a little bit better when he's deciding to run for the ball or
Hmm.
stepping up in the pocket. But I mean, this kid is tough. This kid is
Hmm.
tough, man. And I think that Dable saw that. We know now that this was the place that he wanted to go to. He liked the QB position. He liked the tangibles that Daniel Jones had. And I'm not saying that him and Josh Allen are the same QB
Hmm.
because they're not, but they do have similar traits. Obviously, Allen got a bigger arm for sure.
Hmm.
Everybody know that. But
Hmm.
they're both athletic. I think DJ has an NFL arm. We know that he's accurate when he lets that ball rip, especially throwing the ball down the field. So now
Hmm.
you got a coach that's going to prioritize that and is actually going to play to your strengths. We heard that, Dable, came and said that, he went up to DJ, he went up to receivers, and he wants to know what are their favorite routes to run,
Hmm.
what are their favorite plays to call. I mean,
Hmm.
that's important. That's important. And I know that it to me when I say this to myself, it's so funny to me. This dude Daniel Jones didn't have an armband on until what, halfway through the season last year?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we hadn't seen that in his entire career as an NFL player. It's little things like that that made me question, okay, like is this the coaching staff that's going to get the most out of this kid? Because I mean, you look at the Raiders game. I mean, dude. I mean, I
Hmm.
understand that the running game, they won us that game, but I mean, he played a part in that too. Same with Carolina. Same
Exactly.
with the Washington game in week 2.
Exactly. So, I mean, it goes a long way into, his development and having the right people in place around him, supporting him, and, helping him grow and helping this organization grow. And, if he's in the end, if he's not it, do we have, well, I think we have the pieces in place. Then we just go out and we find the right quarterback to put in that position, even if it's a young quarterback, develop him. If you got to continue building your running game until he's ready, then that's what you do. I mean, that's basic principles to me with football. If you have
Yep,
a good running game, it sets up everything. And if you
absolutely.
DJ does have a good play, he does a good job with play action. I mean, he learned from the master in Eli. That's one of the things that I loved about Eli, his play action, because when your running game is going, then it opens up that offense even more. And in today's game with the spread offense, you do a good job with your inside run. It attacks the defense. It brings the safety downs into the box. You can open up the RPO, or you can attack the seams if they're in the three high. It just does so much more for an offense, and it can open up so much more in your play action, RPO, and into your passing game, or getting whatever quarterback, if he's mobile enough, on the edge and possibly getting outside.
Absolutely, coach. Absolutely, I agree. I see we got some more people in the chat below. Jared, thank you for stopping by. I hope you're doing
Hmm.
good, my friends.
What's up?
Lou, Mr. G Nation himself, what is going on?
All right,
Tudo,
Lou. All right.
yes, sir. But you know what? One thing for sure, I love the energy because
Mm-hmm.
if I'm being honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
this team could go 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
I know that,
Mm-hmm.
some may see that as, just being way too optimistic, getting their hopes up. I think you look at this schedule, and I think that if DJ can progress, I mean, really, my only questions that I got really is that it's cornerback, maybe the linebacker position, but not so much. That's really it at the
But
moment.
that falls into your front line. I mean, if the front line
Absolutely.
is doing everything they need to do, um, I've always taught, on the defensive side, that quarterback has to get that ball out quickly. And if you smack him around quite a few times, he's going to be gun shy. And he's going to throw that ball up there, and you're going to get your lollipops, and you can take it and pick six it down to the end zone.
Yeah,
So you want the quarterbacks to feel you defensively no matter what. You want to hit him, you want to be in his face, you want to deflect balls, and you want to take away his confidence, and then that helps the back end.
yeah,
I know Wink Martindale bases his defense on the cornerbacks. I get it. I've seen it. I've watched it. I've studied it. But I've always been a big believer on your front lines, because to me, trench warfare is what wins your games.
you're
You
right.
can have most valuable positions, players at all these other positions, but the most important positions is in your line, your front line on the offense and the defensive side of the ball.
You're absolutely right, coach. I mean, and I think that those are two positions that the Giants really
Mm.
addressed this offseason, and they got themselves some studs. And they
Mm-hmm.
got themselves some blue collared players, man. I mean, you get Kayvon Thibodeau in the draft and Evan Neal. You get a player that has high upside and Joshua Azudu. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think Aziz is primed for a very good year. Is
So,
primed for a breakout season. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm happy that we got the right people here. And obviously, we got to see it translate on the field, but I'm very optimistic right now with this team going forward. And I haven't been able to fully say that confidently in
mm-hmm.
quite some time. So,
Exactly.
but you know what, Miss Rodney, she
Salute,
has
Miss
a
Ronnie.
very good point. She says Dable is more experienced than Joe
Mm-hmm.
Judge and had a system set up in Buffalo that Judge had not had the chance to learn. He is more in tune with the players, and his other staff has tons of experience. I mean, that's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
right.
Exactly.
Absolutely right. And I think that the way that Dable is conducting himself, the way that the chemistry he's having with these players, I mean, it's like Leonard Williams said, it's contagious. The energy, it feels different here. I mean, even with the general manager position, I was
Mhm.
never a fan of Dave Gettleman. I
Mm,
cut him some breaks with certain things I felt he deserved to get some breaks on. But overall, I mean, I think that he's going to go down as one of the worst, if not the worst GMs in
mm.
the NFL, because what he's done to this organization, I mean, I don't wish it on no other fan base, maybe outside of the Eagles and Cowboys, but
He's done it
realistically,
to two organizations.
yep,
2. You
yes,
got Carolina, what he did down there, and to have brought him up here, uh, as I've heard fans say, he stole money. He stole
he did,
money,
he did.
so
He absolutely did. And Jeff, absolutely. I agree
mhm.
with you. He says for the first time in his career, Jones has the best chance to succeed in his offense. It's on to Daniel Jones to get it
Yes,
done.
it is.
And you're absolutely right. Obviously, he has to put it all together. You could teach him as much as you want, but if he can't put it all together on the field, he's not going to be a New York Giant in 2023. And
Mhm.
look, again, the tangibles are there. He has to put it together, but I think that he's in a very good position right now. And if you ask me, I think that we're going to see a better season from Daniel Jones, even better than what his rookie season was. I know that some people may not see that, but I just think that, you look at Galladay. I mean, I think he's going to get used properly. I'm very interested to see how he's used.
Hmm.
You look at KT, you look at Wandale. I
Hmm.
mean, it's to me, it's really just going to come down to health. How
Yeah.
healthy can this team stay? And last year, with Joe Judge, we all know that he was working these players. I mean, we had
Hmm.
players retire. He was really working these players. And look, I think that kind of like a rubber band. When you constantly stretch a rubber band in and out, in and out, in and out, the tension with that rubber band at some point is going to snap. And
Yeah, but I also think I've like when he was hired. I mean, yeah, he gave the great speeches, but he gave me the feeling he was more suited to be at a college program than in the pros.
yep,
I mean that fumble drill going out. I get it, I understand, but that's something you do in college. That's something you do in high school. In the pros, you treat them as grown men. That's what they're paid to do. So I get the rah rah type of mentality, but I've never been a coach to treat grown men like that. That to
absolutely.
me is that I get. Like I said, I get it. I understood it. But I just didn't think it was the right type of thing. And he's plus he was never a true play caller. So when you step up into the big boy seat, you got to really be able to hold everything together. And you
hmm
know it it just left me wondering.
No, you have every right to be wondering because, I mean, you look at how the team was. I mean, it just didn't seem that everyone was on the same page. Excuse me. It didn't seem
Hmm.
like Garrett and Judge were on the same page. It definitely didn't seem like Gettleman and Judge were on the same page. Just
Hmm.
a lack of communication. Mismanagement, missing on draft picks. I mean, there's no room for success if that's how you're going to run things. And we
Hmm.
saw it. I mean, I just think that you look at what we've done in just one off season, and in my opinion, it's been a hell of an improvement compared to recent years. And
Hmm.
I'm very excited. Even if God forbid, well, let me not say God forbid, even if this kid isn't the answer going forward, I have confidence knowing that this offense, this defense, these coaches, man. I mean, I think that we're set. Obviously we need some more depth at certain positions, but I think that we're in a good position right now. Very good position.
Exactly. I know
Um,
you got to get caught up in the chat. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Nah, I mean, man, I appreciate every single one of you guys in the chat, man.
I
Thank you
do
guys
too.
so
I do
much.
too.
Easy three, what is going on? Wales, what is going
What's up,
on?
Wells?
What is up, fellas? I
Easy.
appreciate everyone stopping by, taking the time to talk some New York Giants football with us. Um, Let me get back to this comment real quick. He says DJ also can't be afraid to make those tight
Hmm.
window throws when they're
Hmm.
there. Have to take those chances when they're there and not be afraid to make a mistake. And you're absolutely right, Jeff. I mean, Dable
Exactly.
had said it himself. He's telling DJ, let the ball rip. Fit it into those tight windows. If you throw an interception, it's fine. That's what practice is for. And I think that that's only going to help Daniel Jones get his confidence up. I think that it's going to help him figure out, where he can fit that ball in tight. And I think that when you look at the defense that he's going to be going up against and how Wink Martindale runs his
Hmm.
defense, he's going to
Hmm.
throw different schemes. I mean, you're in a good position right now. I mean, this kid could really learn a lot from these coaches and the schemes
Hmm.
that are being run. So, I mean, you got to be excited.
Exactly. I mean, and you made a good point. Going up against a defense, if you're going up against a complex defense, it's just going to make you that much better.
Yeah,
And when you go out there on the field, then you're going to say, if I can do it against this and read this, some of the simplified defenses, whether they're in zone or they're in man, you're going to be able to trust it. And yes, put it in that tight window. Put it in a position that your skill guys can make the play and keep it away from the defender, and just
yep.
properly read the field. So I know Miss Ronnie made a point of peripheral vision, and that was an excellent point.
Yep.
You got to be able to use your peripheral, because that helps you feel the pocket and know when to step up, when to slide, when to get out in the alley, and either put the ball downfield or use your athletic ability and get downfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And this kid, he has some athletic ability. I mean, we saw him, run 80 yards on the Eagles. What
Hmm.
QBs outside of Lamar Jackson is really going to do that? I mean,
Exactly.
as athletic as Josh Allen is, I'm not going to sit up here and say that he's going to run 80 yards on a team.
Mm-mm.
I'm just not. This kid got some legs on him, and on top of that, he's got an arm. I think that again, if he goes through his reads a little bit quicker, and he could protect that ball. I mean, I think that we're looking at, a solid season from this kid. And if he can, get us a couple wins, I mean, I think that, we could be in a position where we could be a wild card spot. We could be potentially, competing for this division. But again, as long as, we're being competitive, I'm all right.
Hmm.
I'm all right. And Jeff, you are absolutely right. The health of the
Hmm.
roster is always the biggest question. And that's not just with us. That's throughout every team, in the
Exactly.
league. Look at the Ravens last year, the injuries that they
Hmm.
had to go through. The Titans, I mean, credit to Vrabel. I mean, I believe they had the most injured team in the NFL last season, and they were the first seed in the AFC.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's impressive, So,
Exactly.
and I agree. If we can get at least a majority of these players not on an injury list, I know KT's dealt with injuries. Galladay's always dealt with that hip. I mean, I think that you're looking at some improvement because I also can't overlook the fact again that I think you could count maybe on one hand, maybe half of two hands, how many times this kid has played with all of his competent weapons on the field at the same
Hmm.
time.
Well, I
And
mean,
it's
that's
sad.
true. Having your guys stay healthy, but to the depth. Do you have quality depth behind your starters? Because in the NFL, in football in general, it's always going to be the next man up. It doesn't matter. You're going to run into injuries as long as you don't have the major catastrophic type of injuries. Can the next man step up and fill in while everyone else is there producing, and you don't see that much of a drop off? You just transition a focal point from one player to the other. So injuries, yes, everyone has to stay healthy, but I mean, for example, Daniel Jones, I love Tyrod Taylor as a backup. We don't have a
Yep,
Glennon and a
agree.
Fromm, so you have a competent backup who can go out there and not just be out on the field, but who can actually win you a game or two. So and that goes to all the positions, including the front lines. You know, that do you have depth behind them? And I think Shane has done a good job in getting some depth there.
Yeah, and I think that we got depth at some key positions that we didn't really have depth at before,
Hmm.
especially at the offensive line.
Hmm.
And then you look at our defensive line rotation. I mean, you got Kayvon, you got Aziz, Roche, Ellerson Smith.
Hmm.
I mean, they got themselves some depth. And even at the wide receiver position, I mean, knowing that you got Slayton as possibly your four, maybe your five, you
Hmm.
still got Shep. I
Hmm.
mean, we've been able to, with what we've had, which really isn't a lot, we've been able to attack key positions on our roster to put this team in a good position going forward. And again, I'm very excited about this offensive line. Now, with us talking about the offensive line, I actually want to pull up an article that Coach had brought to my attention. I thought
Hmm.
that this was a very interesting article, and we're going to share it with you guys right here. So, what I have here is an article regarding center. I believe his name is JC Treader
Yeah.
from the Cleveland Browns. Now, we're going to
Hmm.
break this down and we're going to talk about this a little bit. So, now the veteran center, he's 31 years old.
Hmm.
His health shouldn't be a concern. He played 16 games each of his last 5 seasons. He has 10 years experience in the NFL. He's played 6,263 snaps at center. He's one of the best pass blocking centers
Hmm.
in the NFL. Last season, he only gave up a sack, one QB hit, and 8 hurries. So you like to see that
Mhm.
at your center position, at, in my opinion, the most important part of the offensive line outside of the left tackle. I mean, I think that that's going to help your quarterback if you can have someone there that he can rely on, to call out the defense,
Mhm.
and to make those adjustments. So, I mean, this could be a player that I think the Giants, could potentially look at. And I mean, I know that Feliciano right now is kind of penciled in at the moment,
Mhm.
to start at center, but I don't think that he should outright be given the position. I
Mhm.
really don't. I think that we need to add more depth to this offensive line and let these guys compete.
Mhm.
But what do you think about this guy, Coach? I mean, do you think that this should be a player that the Giants bring in?
If he fits under the salary and we can get him, yes. If you have to make some certain moves to get him in, yes, because competition will just bring out the best in everyone. And yes, Feliciano, I mean, I know we're, putting there. He really hasn't played that much at the position, but as you said, center is critical. It is vital to your whole offense because without a good center, you can't do anything. We saw Billy Price had some up and down games last year,
Yeah, he
but
did.
it's you need to have a quality center because number one, it keeps when your quarterback is dropping back, it helps to keep his face clear because that's the direct line. That's the first thing he's going to see. And if he feels that pressure right up in his face, sometimes he may roll right into a defensive end who's, normally our tackle may have had him sealed right, but with the pressure up the middle, he's going to try and bounce it and maybe go right into it, get into a sack. So Treader is experienced. He's been rated very well. So if you can get him at an affordable price, then yes, I think you should do what you can do to get him.
Yeah, and look, at the same time, I mean, again, I don't think that these players should just outright be given a
Mm-mm,
position. I think
mm-mm.
that they have to go in there and compete. But I think that this could be a player that not only challenges John Feliciano, but I think that he could even take the spot from
Exactly,
Feliciano. And
exactly.
I mean, I think that a lot of people forget that Feliciano was benched last season.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Mm-hmm.
benched last season against the Chiefs. And I mean, there was a interview that he did last week where he had said, as a professional, he felt one way, but then he turns around and says, you guys got what you deserved. So it's
Mm-hmm.
that rubs some people the wrong way. I completely understand why that would. But at the same time, I mean, I just don't think that this should be, something just outright given to him. I mean, there's got to be a reason why he was benched. And I know that, you know, um, Bobby Johnson calls him dirtbag.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know that, he's really, the reason why he's here is that he knows his scheme. He knows
Exactly.
his offensive line coach. There's familiarity there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you can add depth and possibly improve a position of need, again, yeah, we got to see if we can fit it under the cap. But I think you look at other contracts on this roster, little contracts that you can get rid of, and
Mm-hmm.
you can get yourself a nice player at the center position, even if it's for a year.
Well,
Even
and
if it's for a year.
don't forget, you can also sign him for a 2 year contract, and if you got to push it till next year, so most of it till next year, that's also an avenue to think about. So if you can get him and he wants to be here, and then you do what you got to do to get him. So I center to me is vital more than like you said. You have your backside tackle, whether he's left tackle, right tackle, depending on the quarterback, his throwing position. But the center is most important because that's not only the brains, but that controls the quarterback, what he sees right in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Miss Rodney, I really love what you're saying here. She says, "Listen, I grew up in
Hmm.
the Bill Parcells era.
Me
He
too.
was one of the best and really good. Excuse me, had good insight of his teams and players. LT loved the man in his show. The
Hmm.
team back then was amazing. Now I'm on
Exactly.
the younger side. I didn't get to see the Bill Parcells area, but seeing the videos of Parcells, seeing how he was with his players, how this team
Hmm.
really bought in and just play tough and play hard. I mean, God. you want that on any team. You want that with
Hmm.
any coach that you have. And
Hmm.
obviously, he's one of the best of the best, but I mean, we haven't had that in quite probably since Coughlin at this point.
Exactly.
Now, will
Exactly.
Dable, come in and be one of those guys? I mean, it's possible. We got to see how it plays out, but so far, I mean, we're off to a pretty good start. We got to see how it
Hmm.
all translates, but we're off to a pretty good start. Um,
Exactly.
now, one thing I do want to talk about, we spoke about this a little bit before we had went live. You've done coaching,
Hmm.
and I really just want to get into that and your coaching experience, your preference if you have one, maybe what side of the ball you like working with the most. And then I also want to talk about your league as well that you're vice president of. I think you guys are doing incredible things.
Hmm.
And I want to dive into that. Do you have, in all of your coaching experience, do you have a position maybe that you like working with the most?
Trenches.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter offense, defense. I've worked on both sides. I mean, I've coached every position. Let me just say that it does not matter whether it's special teams. Um, I mean, even when I was in college, I was a long snapper along with the defensive line. So I understand that. I will understand working with the kickers. I've coached offensive side of the ball. I've coached defensive side of. Doesn't matter if it's offensive line, defensive line, coordinate. I've done it all. So, but if I have a preference, it's always going to be the trenches, whether it's offensive line or defensive line. I just love it. I love the hand-to-hand combat. I love the techniques. I love the gamesmanship. Angles. I mean, just little things. Offensive line 6-inch step, defensive line. How do you know, combat that? I mean, I just love it all, and also the biggest thing is the physical play. I mean that's one position that you hit every play, and it's not for the faint of heart. You cannot go down there and think that you're gonna make plays in the trenches and think it's going to be easy. It's not. It's really for grown men.
Absolutely. And I think that's really cool that you've been able to work in all phases. And I'm a fan of the trenches myself. I mean, I think that that's where the real work is at.
Hmm.
I credit the offensive line and defensive linemen on the field because I mean, it really comes down to them. It really
Hmm.
does come down to them. And I think that it's pretty cool, what you're doing over there. And you are the vice president of the League of All Leagues.
Hmm.
I definitely want to talk about that. And
Hmm.
actually, I'm going to share the website real quick so that
Hmm.
people can see it. Because I mean, I think that what you guys are doing is incredible, man. So if you guys
Thank
didn't
you.
know, Coach Ed is vice president of League of All Leagues. Um, and again, you can find the link to their website in the description below, as well as Coach Ed's YouTube channel. But
Hmm.
Coach, just talk to us a little bit about your league, what you guys are about, and how did this league come across or come about?
Well, I've been dealing with minor league, semi-pro football um, on many different levels. I first started playing back in '93. I played for a few years for a few teams, but I got into the ownership coaching realm back in 2000. Um, I've been a part of several teams, but that's where my journey really began. It started. I played a little bit until injury forced me to retire, and then I've worked full time as an owner and as a coach, and I've just been in there loving it ever since I started doing this. I've gotten to travel, so far across the country, meet some great people and do some great things. Like you're showing there is, we did work with the Special Olympics. Now, this league came about because in the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, what I call tri-state areas, um, there's quite a few leagues, or there has been. Now it's down to, I think, 3 leagues just in this area. And we have the most teams. We have 16 teams in our league, and we're in New York, New Jersey, and Eastern PA. So, and that's been one of the things that I've worked with. Now, the CEO, um, Mrs. Tammy Thompson, yes, she's a woman, and she's been doing this for a very long time. And when I tell you she does phenomenal work, she does phenomenal work. She knows the game very well. She's played it, she's coached it. I've coached with her. So I know she knows this game. And she's also been in a league executive position now for the last, I would say, probably 11 years, 10 years.
Wow.
So, and she was running another major league, which, they had teams up into Connecticut and down into Baltimore. But the owner decided to shut it down. And quite a few of the teams that were in that league, as well as the league she was associated with last year, and myself, we said, you know what you're doing. You need to go out there and put out a league. And that's what we did. And that's what she's done. And she's worked very hard at it, creating the bylaws, everything, scheduling, um, everything. So we're going to be doing live streaming games. We're going to be keeping up stats. Everything associated with football is going to be within this league.
Awesome, man. And again, I have a very soft spot for the Special Olympics, and I think that it's
Mhm,
really awesome. You guys are proud partners with them. You guys can find Coach's website to the League of All Leagues in the description below. And
mhm.
with that being said, we are going to open the lines. Lou, I saw you. I wanted Coach
I'm
to.
like, yo, my man got me back here. I wasn't gonna interrupt him. I'm
No,
like,
I
you just
know.
got
I
me
just.
back here, like in the green
No,
room and shit. My nigga was
yeah, no,
good. Like,
I saw you. I just wanted him to just, continue talking for the website and everything,
no,
but
I wasn't gonna
sorry about
interrupt.
that.
I wanted to touch on the comment where you were talking about how you read a comment where you said LT loved Parcells and it showed.
Mhm.
Yes,
Right,
right
somewhere along
here.
those lines. Okay,
Yes, from Miss Rodney right here.
you have to understand that that was a different type of coaching.
Mhm.
When you have a coach who actually gives a fuck about you, you will
Mhm.
run through a brick wall for him.
You're right.
And that's what Tom Coughlin had to learn the hard way. When he first took over the Giants, him and Strahan butted heads
Mhm.
Hmm.
because he came in with that tough love, fine you if you late, dress proper, all this shit, which is fine being a stickler. But you have to show another side to these guys too. Because they
Mhm.
going out there and playing on broken bones. They're going out there playing dehydrated. They're going out there playing bruised up, tired, traveling across the country, sometimes across the pond. You know what I'm saying? So they have to feel a level of respect and admiration from you as well. And Kaufman had to find that out the hard way. This team
Mhm.
was about to
Yeah.
quit on him. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And then when he loosened up the reins a little bit and started showing them that he gave a fuck about them, they played for him. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I
Yep.
think that's the one thing that Dable has a one up on a lot of these coaches. He
Yeah.
came
No,
in and
agreed.
showed these guys, like, look, you're human. I give a fuck about you. Let's build a rapport first. Then we can work on the
Mhm.
football. You feel
Mhm.
me? And I think because of that, this team is going to come out and you're going to see a totally different type of dog in this fight this year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely, man. And
And
you've been preaching 11-6 for
for a minute,
for a
fam.
minute
And I
now,
and I
man.
wanted to I wanted to touch on another thing. The reason LT loves Parcells is because Parcells never took himself too seriously. You know what I'm saying? Parcells recognized that he was one of the guys as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Parcells came and got that man out of crack houses, bro.
Jeez.
Put him in
Exactly.
rehab. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like he showed him, like, yo, bro, yeah, you play for me and I'm your boss and all that, but I need you to live. I need you to survive. I need you
Mhm.
to fight through this shit, and I'm gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? And that shit right there is why them two joined at the hip forever. The day
Exactly.
Parcells passes away, God forbid, that's just gonna kill Lawrence.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know
Exactly.
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
those two were just like you said. They were thick like thieves.
That's thieves. Yep.
They were. Like you said. LT would climb a wall for Parcells, because, like you said, he cared about him. He gave him the tough love. Look, when you do wrong, you do wrong, just like we would as parents with our children. We get on them
Mm-hmm.
because we love them. But when they do right, you give them the accolades and you support them. And that's one of the things Parcells did with a lot of his players, which is why he's beloved by, a lot of players that whatever team, not just with the Giants, but with whatever team he went
Every
to,
team he went to, yep.
his players loved him. And we as fans, the true fans, appreciated that, and we loved that. So I to
The
this
tune-up.
day, yes,
The tune-up. That's his
I mean,
name.
and he's a Jersey boy, so
Yep.
it's something that's near and dear to my heart. So it's I appreciated him, and he's the type of coach. Yes, I'd run through a wall for him if I was still able to do it. So
Yeah, and I again, I didn't grow up in the Parcells era, but I do have an appreciation for Parcells. Just you look at the teams that he's went to, even in Dallas, I'm
mhm.
sure that the players over there loved him too. And I mean, man, you guys get me pumped talking about him, dog. I really wish I could
Mhm.
have been alive during that time,
I'm
especially to
look.
see LT, man.
You can go back and watch video clip. There's a
Mhm.
clip of him
Yeah,
on the sideline yelling at LT indirectly.
Mhm.
Some of these guys got to get their heads out
head
of
out
their
of their
ass.
ass.
And he
Yep.
Mhm.
looks at
Mhm.
LT as he's coming off the sideline like, yeah, I'm talking to you,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
and that's all I've been able to go on are these, documentary videos that they release, and it just, man, to be a fan during that time and just to witness the history, right before your eyes. I mean, I could only imagine how that was for you guys. Seriously.
Well,
Oh
I
man.
mean, during that time also, I mean, we're coming out of the 70 eras where the Giants weren't, they weren't good. I mean, it's kind of like a mirror image now where, then you get Parcells in and he starts building his culture. And then next thing you know, that's when we start winning our championships, and ever since then, it's been, we're one of the to me, I've always said we're one of the championship caliber organizations in the NFL. I mean,
Yeah.
teams can go to XYZ amount of championships, but we're right there with them. We only
Oh
have one
no,
loss.
there's only one team that has more championships than us, and they only have one more than us, and that's Green Bay. They have 13 and we have 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you
Mm-hmm.
include NFL championships and Super
It's,
Bowls, it's
yes,
Green Bay, then New York,
exactly.
not the Patriots, like everybody thinks.
Oh,
Yeah, because
exactly.
of
If
the
you
Super
go
Bowl rings.
Yes, you go through the course of history, you'll see all the championships that New York has over that course of the time, and that's why I always say this is a championship caliber organization when
And
it's
a
run
side note,
right.
every other team that's great is because of the Giants.
Yes.
Tom
That's
Landry
true.
left New York and went and built the
Mm-hmm.
Dallas dynasty. Vince
It's
Lombardi left
Lombardi.
New York and
Hmm.
went and built the Green Bay dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton left New York and went and started New Orleans legacy.
Bill
You know what I'm
Belichick.
saying? Bill Belichick went to New England. You know what I'm saying? So all these great family trees of coaches that you see now, they all stem from Parcells. They all stem from New York. One way or another, they come from the Giants.
Man. And I mean, when you put it like that, man, I don't want to be hearing fans from other fan bases talk nothing about this team. I don't care how bad we are.
No, yeah, they can't. They
Mm-mm.
can't. Listen, when you got a team that has helped establish the rest of the NFL, what can you say about them? And on top of that, we got 12 championships. And on top of that, we beat the unbeaten and the so-called GOAT and the so-called greatest team of all times twice.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
twice. Absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, those are the two memories in my life that, when I
We're,
really look at it, were great years.
we're one of two teams that went to the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Yeah, you're right with Haas. And Haas did his thing in that Super Bowl. So, when my boy Phil went down, so he came in and we rode him, which very similar
Pause.
athletic quarterback. Going to look, y'all do that thing. That's y'all thing. That's not me.
I
I
wasn't gonna
get
say
it.
it. I try
You
keeping my
said
mouth shut.
you said we rode him. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, pause.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
did
want to
no
say
riding, sir.
Look. I don't get into all that. I'm
I know.
old.
I'm just
I'm
messing
old.
with you,
No, I
man.
get it. I get it. I
That's
get it. So,
uh,
but yes, no. I mean, Hostetler, if you look at it, athletic quarterback, mobile, can get out the pocket. I mean, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is Jeff Hostetler. That's not what I'm saying. but there are some small characteristics that, you know what, you've seen what Hostetler did to lead to a
He was mobile.
championship.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it causes conflict on a defense.
Yep.
I mean, I know firsthand. As a
Yeah.
big
Hard to keep
fatty,
your blocking assignment during the scramble drill. It's
it,
hard.
look, as a big fatty trying to chase after a mobile quarterback, you're winded sometimes. So, you go to the sideline, and it's like, that guy is just, I need a break. So,
And it
bless
deflates
you.
you too, because you get
Yes.
right there and he throws a pass for a completion. You're
Hmm.
like, fuck. It's like I can't
Mhm.
get to this guy. After a while, it starts to wear on your psyche as well as your physical. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm optimistic about this team. I've been saying 11-6 since before we even drafted, since before we got players in the free agency. I'm trying to speak it into existence because my
Hmm.
Bible says the power of life and death is in the tongue. So
You
I'm
damn
gonna
right.
speak 11-6 until we get 11-6. Damn it! But at the same time, I know realistically, this is the first year of a rebuild, basically.
Hmm.
Um, if we can come out and win 8 games, 9 games, I'm extremely happy because it's way better than 4 games or 5 games like we've been doing the last 5 seasons.
You damn right
So
about that.
I mean, progress is better than nothing. But I,
Exactly.
I really feel like with this coaching staff, if they get these guys to buy in, because I said it last year, and Hit Squad is my witness, we weren't that far off from being a
No.
good team last year.
We
We just
weren't.
had bad coaching and bad schemes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
now you add the players that we've added in this draft with the good guys that we had last season, and you actually bring a good scheme in here and they buy in, we can turn it around in 1 year. It's not impossible.
It's not. And
Um,
and again, you look at the adjustments that they made, and they really attacked the offensive line, they attacked
mhm.
the defensive line. I mean, those were positions of need. And Aziz is looking, like he's put on some more muscle, and I think that he's primed to have a solid year this year. I mean, I'm excited to see how Leo's gonna fit, in this defense, and I think he's gonna fit well. But I think that he's gonna be one of those people that really comes in and dominates on the field.
Mhm.
Now, my only question obviously would just be the second cornerback position.
Mhm.
But outside of that, I don't even think we're as bad as some people may make us out to be. I don't,
Mhm.
again, I said this earlier, I don't see how we're a 4-win team, 5-win
Mm-mm.
team. I
Mm-mm.
just don't see that. I'm sorry, not with
Mm-mm.
the not with the additions that we made, on top of looking at, I'm sorry, I'm gonna just say it, this weak ass schedule. I'm sorry. I just you look at the schedule and it's very favorable for this team. And to
Yeah.
your credit, Lou, yeah, we're not far off. We
No.
And
aren't.
and you got to think about it. When your freaking coach says we don't always play offense to score,
Mm.
well,
Like
shit, that's
what?
your main problem right there. That's
Yeah,
that's the main
exactly.
problem. We were shitty for the last 2 seasons.
Mm.
Like and
The
and
whole
I
point of
just
offense is to fucking score. What do you mean you don't play offense just to score?
exactly. And you look at
Shit.
Galladay getting frustrated with Garrett because you bring him in, you sign him to this big contract, and you're using him as a decoy. Like, in what world does that make sense? You're not even going to get your most paid player on the offensive side of the ball. The ball? You're not going to
Mhm.
throw a one ball downfield and try to go jump up and get the ball. That's what you brought him in
Well,
for.
see, I see three things with that, right? Like I see that they used him improperly,
Yes.
It's
right?
true. It's
And
true.
then two, he couldn't create separation.
But he was
Now,
never.
I
He
don't
was
know.
never.
I don't
He. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know if it was because of the play calling and the routes that they had him running, or if he just lost a step and couldn't create separation. But it didn't look good for the team, and it didn't look good for him neither. Is what I'm saying.
No, it
No,
didn't.
you're
It
right,
didn't.
Lou. You're right, Lou. Schematically, they needed to do a better job of scheming him open. But realistically, Galladay is really not that type of receiver.
He's a
He's a
50-50 guy.
he's a
Yeah.
contested
Mhm.
ball receiver. So he uses his height and his size, to basically box out sometimes or go up
Yeah.
over a defensive
Get the
back.
rebound, basically.
Exactly. So, and that's what you want to use him for, and then schematically, if you get him with some rub routes, some high lows, little things like that, true man beaters, or have him sitting into the zone, reading the right windows, then you're using him effectively. But, the way they were using it, no. Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't understand the offensive concepts last year. I just couldn't.
I couldn't. I couldn't either because again, I'm over here begging that we could score a touchdown. Like, what team is doing that in the modern day NFL? It's just not happening. What's
No,
going on, Super Taj? Thank you for
Taj,
stopping by, man.
Taj,
well,
Yo,
you
what's
came
going
in
on,
just in
y'all?
time because that
Yes,
phone
sir.
call wasn't on call. That's why I didn't even change it because I knew I was gonna get a damn call. So I gotta go, fellas.
No problem, man. Thank you for stopping by. Y'all get Lou to 1,000 subscribers.
yes,
His
please.
This is his link right here. We're gonna put it in the bio of this
For
video
the
too.
love of Christ,
Get
please,
this man
God
to a
Almighty.
thousand. He is so close, man. Get this man to 1,000. Stop playing with his name. All right.
Peace out, fellas.
Peace out,
Peace.
man. Um,
I will.
Now, this was asked towards Lou, but we'll ask this for the panel. Mark says, "Who is your breakout candidate?" Taj, who's your breakout candidate for this year, man?
Besides Daniel Jones, I got Aziz Ojulari.
Ooh,
Mm,
okay, okay. I'm right there with you, man. I think that you look at him, man. You get KT on the other side of the ball. I mean, this guy
mhm.
got 8 sacks, which I thought he should have had 9.5. But this guy gets 8 sacks with no one really on the other side of him that really posed a threat. I love Lorenzo Carter, but come on, man. He wasn't
Yeah.
getting it done. What is going on, Jeff? How
Jeff,
are you, brother?
what's up, Jeff?
What's going on, fellas? And may I say, it's an absolute pleasure to be on the panel with you, Coach. Love everything that you do, and keep
Thank
up the
you.
great work. Hit Squad,
Thank
you
you.
as well. And Taj,
Thank you, thank you.
congratulations on the 100 over on Twitter, bro.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Hardest
congrats,
working man,
congrats.
Congratulations.
hardest working man on Twitter all the time.
Mm,
On
mm.
God, I know when I wake up, I'm gonna have a bunch of DMs from Taj, updating me with what's going
Every
on.
time, yeah.
I and I be feeling bad because like I'll scroll through them and I'll look through them and I'm like, okay, cool, cool. And then like it's just sometimes it's a lot to where like I'll see the same thing and I'll send it in the chat and I'm like, damn, I just saw Taj send this. Like, but
Mhm,
I like that. Man's ahead of the curve. I like that.
mhm.
Taj, stop throwing that football in your damn house. Stop throwing that football in your house off of your lawn. Uh, um, but coach, I'm same question with you, man. I mean, do you have a breakout candidate for this season for the Giants?
I mean, right now I could say one is definitely a rookie, and I know I'm probably going to get killed for it, but hey, it's Rondell Robinson. I mean,
I
Ooh,
like
he's
it.
he's
okay.
versatile, he's explosive, he has speed. We've all heard that. He's instant offense, but one of the things that I love about this man is he played in the two top conferences in college football, and he produced.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
played against top competition. So to me, that's
Excellent
going to
point.
transition. So he's going to be able to bring that, and they're already scheming for him in the offense. So if you're doing that now, that's telling me that, especially when you have Galladay, you have Tony, you have Saquon, you have, a decent tight end, running game, that's going to open him up even more for the little bubble screens. And if he can improve on his route running, I mean, it's efficient now, but if he can improve and be that much more effective, then um, the sky's the limit with this young man. But on the defensive side, McKinney.
I like that. I like that.
I
Yeah.
I, I
Yeah.
really think McKinney is going to eat in Martindale's defense. Because with the pressure and the right reads, and you put him in the right position, and you saw what he did last year. He's a ball hawk. So, he can get that ball, and, maybe he gets more than one pick six. I love defense that scores points. It helps the offense.
Yeah.
You know, um, when I was a head coach, my guys always knew I always had a philosophy. You know, we win the toss, we defer. We go on defense, we get the ball, we go score. We come back out, we go get the ball again, go score. We get the ball again, go score, and then we'll let the offense have some fun. And that's my mentality
Like that.
in terms of being aggressive. And I think he fits that model where, with the pressure that, Tibbs and Aziz and Leo and, with the linebackers, with Martinez coming back, if Martindale does what he needs to do defensively, it's going to put McKinney in a position to be out there making plays and getting the ball and giving it back to the offense.
You're absolutely right. I mean, McKinney had what we would consider a breakout season last year, but even then, I think that there's room for improvement.
Hmm.
I don't think that
Hmm.
he's even, really shown us what he can do. And
Hmm.
when you look at how Wink uses, the safety position, the
Hmm.
corners, I mean, you got to be excited for how McKinney is going
Hmm.
to look in this defense. So
Exactly.
I really like that right there, man. Jeff, I mean, who is your breakout candidate for this season, or candidates, should I say, for this season?
I mean, I just gotta say, I completely agree with both the guys that Coach said. I mean, actually, that was going to be my original pick on offense was Wandale. I just think that this kid is going to bring another dynamic to this offense. The fact he's going to be lined up everywhere. He's lined up
Hmm.
in the slot, in the backfield, on the outside, even maybe even they could even run some wildcat because they got the players now out there to execute it completely. So,
Hmm.
but I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm going to say Dexter Lawrence. I think now that we
Ooh, okay.
have Aziz Ojolari, Thibodeau, and Leonard Williams are going to command a lot of that attention on the defensive line and outside linebacker. I think Dexter Lawrence is going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of singled up on that defensive line, and he got the most pressures he's ever had in his career last year. And now that he's
Hmm.
going to get the one-on-ones the majority of the time with those other three guys getting more attention, I think Dexter Lawrence could create a lot of havoc on that defensive line. And there might be a reason why they decided to re-up him for that fifth-year option because they might
Hmm.
believe in the type
Hmm.
of talent that Dexter Lawrence could bring to the interior of this defensive line. So I really think that Dexter
Absolutely.
Lawrence is going to be a difference maker on that defensive line.
I mean,
Excellent.
you,
Excellent.
you make some great points there, and
Thank
I
you.
agree with you. I mean, I think that with how Wink uses his defensive players, especially at the defensive line position, defensive tackles. I mean, I know that he's listed as a DE, but Calais Campbell, can he fit
Hmm.
in that role? I mean, I love Leonard Williams, and I think that Leonard Williams is going to feast in this defense. But I see with what you're saying with Dexter Lawrence. I mean, he could come in and be relatively productive for us, and the Giants have to see something if they picked up his fifth-year option and not,
Hmm.
decide to decline it, which I thought that they should have declined it. I'll be honest with you. Just because I felt that, as much as I love Dexter Lawrence, I've met the guy in person. He's a great guy. Big dude, pause, but, great dude. I think that, there's been times where he's underwhelming. But, given the history of Wink Martindale's defense, I mean, I think that he's in a good position right now to succeed. Now, how will he be used? I mean, do they play him in the middle and kick Leo on the outside a little bit? I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, how do y'all think that these players should be used? Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence.
Well, I'm going to say this: not the way they were used last year. The year before, because remember Lawrence and um,
Leonard
once
Tomlinson?
Williams,
you
Talvin
no,
Thomas.
thank you,
Telvin
Dalvin Tomlinson.
Tomlinson. Yeah.
Dalvin was the key to their success. Because he put that pressure right up in the middle. So and that allowed Williams and them to eat on the outside as quote unquote the defensive ends. So it allows for them, like you said, to get the one-on-ones because when you get that pressure up in the middle, that forces a double team. And now you have OZs and you have Tibbs on the outside. That's going to create where across the board you're going to have one-on-ones or the offense is going to have to start going max protect. Do you keep a tight end in? Do you keep a back end now? So now that gives you four guys that are going out into the offensive pattern, which is beneficial to the defense. So I see where you're going with that pick.
Yeah, and look, I had to leave this up because I think that Tony is another player that could potentially break out too. I mean, I really do think that, and I'm very excited to see how Dable and Kafka are going to use Tony, how they're going to use Wandale Robinson.
Hmm.
I think that those are two elusive players, quick twitch players. You get the ball in their hands, and they have the opportunity to make something special happen.
Hmm.
And then again, you have Saquon
Mm.
Barkley coming back too. He's going to be healthy. Who I think a lot of fans forget that this is a guy that you give him the ball, and he could go and get you a touchdown at any given moment.
Hmm.
He really could. And this is going to be the best O line that he's
and
ran behind in his NFL career.
But that also allows
and
for
and you
him to
guys keep. I mean, a lot.
go ahead, Jeff.
You guys also keep forgetting about if he comes back healthy too, what Shepard can bring to this offense. Because when he was healthy, he
Hmm.
was the best receiver on this team. He was better. He was the one that Daniel Jones was always looking for. So if he can find a way to come back healthy, and there's a reason why Dable and Shane went out to bat to try to make sure they could bring him back on this team because of the value he brings to this roster. And you have Tony and Galladay and Robinson and Barkley, all those guys interchangeable all over the offense, commanding more of the attention. Shepard could just continue to work over the middle, and he doesn't have to be that number one guy like he's had to be in the past. And he could just go over the middle and continue to move the chains and move the chains and move the chains like
Hmm.
he's been doing when he's been on the field. Because when that guy plays, you're going to get great blocking, best blocking receiver on the team. You're going to get that intensity. You're going to get that hype, and you're going to get a guy that's going to constantly go out there and he's going to help out his quarterback the most. So don't forget about what that guy could bring to the team if he can come back healthy. That's always the biggest question with him. So he could be a key player as well that
Hmm.
can help this offense. And Daniel Bellinger is another guy. But actually, one of the guys I was thinking too. What about Andrew Thomas? Andrew Thomas is another guy that could have a big time breakout year because he's shown flashes, but
Hmm.
he's had injury
Yeah,
issues with the ankle.
good point.
Andrew Thomas might be a guy that's ready to break out, become a franchise left tackle or a Pro Bowl type left tackle this year. Just got to make sure he shakes those injury woes. But I could see Andrew Thomas being that guy on the offensive line, becoming a consistent top level tackle moving forward. Go ahead, coach.
Yeah, definitely.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought Coach was going to say something. I apologize.
Sorry, I
Um,
hit the wrong button when I coughed.
no, you're good. You're good. Not a problem, man. But no, Jeff, you make a good point there. And I think that, again, you look at just how Dable uses his receivers. I'm not too familiar with how Kafka's going to use, this playbook just because, I still think that was Coach Reed's playbook. I could be wrong, but I just think that it was really Andy Reid's playbook. And I obviously he's a good coach. There was rumors that if they parted ways with their OC, he was going to be the next in line. Um, but again, we got to see how this
Yeah, if
offense
Eric
looks.
Bieniemy had a head coaching
Yeah,
Hmm.
job.
Hmm.
yeah, if he got the head coaching job, Kafka was next in line, which is,
Mhm.
that's exciting to hear. That gives you, some optimism. And, I know that they're going to say, oh, we're not trying to, you know, pull anything from each team, previous teams that we were in terms of their playbook. This is just going to be the Giants offense. But I think that we're going to see some similarities with the Bills offense and with the Chiefs offense as well. And I think that, Wandale, to your point, coach, I mean, I have him penciled in right now as a offensive rookie of the year candidate.
Hmm.
Just because, you look at these receivers, and I get it. There's definitely some better receivers out there, that were selected in the first round that have huge high upside. But you look at this kid's tape and just the explosiveness this kid has. I mean, this kid's been hit, like he's taken some brutal hits and just gotten up like it was nothing, and pushed his way into the end zone. And then you see him just, it just seems like 1 second he's still, another second he's 20 yards down the field. I
Hmm.
mean, that quick twitch ability is really nice to have. And knowing that you have that with two offensive players who I think the offense should be run through outside of Saquon Barkley. I mean, if I'm an offensive coach, I got to be excited.
Well,
I really got to be excited.
you do. I mean, the one thing additional about Robinson is, don't forget he was a running back. He was a running back at Nebraska. He was a running back in high school. So, catching that ball and transitioning and being elusive, and like you said, the quick twitch. You know, putting that one foot in the ground, cutting, and then getting downfield. So he knows how to run that ball. Once he has that ball, has the football in his hands, he knows how to run with it. So I agree with Jeff. As far as the possibilities of being in position to be offensive rookie of the year. So
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
again,
let's
I'm really
also not forget too that let's not also forget too that Robinson is getting some really valuable
Mhm.
reps right now in OTAs with Tony Shepard and
Mhm.
Galladay currently sidelined rehabbing their injuries. So he's getting that much needed time to work with Daniel Jones. So it's maybe those two of them getting a chance to develop some type of connection on offense. So that's only helping him as well. That he's been primarily the number one and number two receiver in camp because of the other guys right now that are still on the mend in terms of their injuries. So that's
Mhm.
also a big help for a guy like Robinson. I agree 100% with what you said, Coach. I could
Mhm.
see big things coming out of Wandale Robinson. Just kid is as dynamic can be. And there's actually a strong possibility by the end of the season he could be our number two receiver behind Tony. I really think this
Absolutely.
kid is going to be that dynamic in this offense. Really do.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that if you're having Galladay as your number three, I mean, that just opens the field. I mean, because I mean, dude, I think that you look at how, Gabriel Davis was used. I mean, they have similar
Mhm.
body frames.
Mhm.
I mean, that could be a player that, while teams are looking for, Saquon Barkley, they're looking for Kadarius Tony where they're on the field. You're gonna leave him wide open. I mean, if he's one on one with someone in the slot or a linebacker, I'm going after that every time.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
knowing that this could be a guy, which
The
last
back
year we saw
shoulder.
it on the field, the back shoulder. I mean, there was plays last year where this guy is diving for the ball, taking hits, and he's getting right back up. And
Mhm.
that's what we need right now. I mean, I like these quick twitch receivers, but I also want someone that could go and jump up and get the ball and pair well with these bigger corners like Jalen Ramsey,
Mhm.
like Xavier Howard, like Marshawn Lattimore, just these taller corners that have long arms. So I mean, and again, if that's the case, and you're having Tony, who at this point, teams should be noting, okay, this is going to be a guy that they're going to try to get the ball. One of these receivers,
Mhm.
even Daniel Bellinger, possibly, are going to be open.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's just going to come down to health, and I think that again, this team has some untapped talent, that hasn't
Mhm.
been used properly in recent years, especially Saquon Barkley.
Exactly. And Dable has never had a
And
running back like
they're gonna
that.
spread it.
Exactly.
I
So
agree.
and
Absolutely.
when you spread the offense out, that leaves Saquon also one on one, with the running game, but also in the passing game. He's one on one with a linebacker now. So and if you're going zone, then that opens up even more windows because you're not just attacking the offense vertically, but you're attacking. I mean, sorry, the defense vertically, but you're attacking them horizontally with like I said, it opens up so much more offensively, with the skill positions that each one they fit each other well, and it's like a puzzle. You're putting them in the right position, finding out what they do well, finding out what they like, because I like Dable doing that, finding out what the guys like, and then incorporating that into the offense so that way everyone meshes well.
Yeah, absolutely, coach. And that's a great point there. And I think that, the more, that we can have these guys on the fields as opposed to being off the field due to injury, it's going to help
Hmm.
Daniel Jones build chemistry with these players. It's going to help out this offense, and it's going to put us in a position to actually go out there and win these games and not rely on players, of the same talent as Dante Pettis, David Sills, players
Hmm.
that are really just, in my opinion, just practice squad players on another team.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we have some talent at the receiver position. Daniel Bellinger is a player that I'm actually really excited to see how he looks.
There's one other thing about Robinson I want to put on the table too. It's
I can't.
I'm sorry. Oh,
With
okay.
No, go
My
ahead,
bad.
With
Coach.
with Robinson, special teams. I think he's also, if he can get at least the punt return position, I think he can also be dynamic there. So that'll add to what he does in helping position the offense and giving us better field position. So because if I'm understanding correctly, they've been working with him at punt return, and putting him out there, getting the ball one on one with a defender,
Hmm.
especially if he's a long snapper, that can set up the offense very well. If not, put the fear of God in the opposition, where it makes him that much more effective and efficient within the team concept.
I absolutely, coach. Absolutely. It's again, these are reasons to,
Yeah,
to be excited for this
and
season.
don't even forget about
You're good, Jeff. Jeff?
don't even forget about. I mean, there's even Darius Slayton is another guy that could bring another element to this offense, like the deep ball threat. Darius Slayton, when he's not tasked to be the number one or number two receiver, he can go out there and just take the top off the defense. And that's his role where he gets a limited amount of snaps, but he can go over there, take it deep, move the ball down the field. That's a perfect role for a guy like Darius Slayton. I think he could
Hmm.
still be a valuable part of this offense as long as you're not asking too much of him, and you shouldn't because of the amount of depth we have at this wide receiver position. So Darius Slayton could still have a role on this team going into his last year of his rookie deal. So you can't discount him as well because he is one of those guys that will take the top off the defense. And he actually, when he's not dropping the ball, he actually has been pretty successful at finding a way to get open down the field. It's just he's got to concentrate on being able to bring it in. But Slayton still has a role in this offense if he could just, work on his concentration, his route running.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
he is a player that has familiarity with Daniel Jones. The connection is there. They both had solid rookie seasons. So, I wouldn't be upset if he's on the roster, but if he's my number four, potentially my number five, maybe, I think that we're in a good position there. But as a number three, I'd have some concerns. I just that's just how I feel
No,
with
I think he's
Slayton
just
at
going to be a
this point.
situational deep threat at best.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean
he's
he
just going to be a
could be.
situational deep threat, maybe like a wide receiver five.
He could be, and another thing that you could say as well is he could be a player that gets traded after the before the trade deadline. Look at teams like Chicago; they got a bunch of number wide receiver threes over there. I mean, we want to talk about setting up our QB for failure. I mean, they are
Absolutely.
setting up fields for failure over there, man. They are setting that man up for failure. So
Hmm.
I mean, again, I think our wide receiver core is pretty solid. We got some talent at that position. The tight end position, we got some talent too. I'm really interested again to see how Bellinger looks. If we could stay healthy, I think that we're in a good position. But that's just how the NFL is. We can't guarantee it.
Everything
Unfortunately,
you hear
all
about
teams aren't
Bellinger,
healthy.
everything you hear about Bellinger is that this kid is making unbelievable catches in OTAs. Like this kid has been the star of OTAs with the way he's playing so far. So as a
Yeah,
Giant fan, you can't just help but be excited about that because you already expect him to come in and be a pretty good blocking tight end. But if he's able to, give us a good contribution in terms of catching the ball and moving the chains, that's all you can ask for. And I mean, so far in OTAs, I mean, I know it's OTAs, but he's at least showing that he's, got pretty good hands out there too to help out Daniel Jones. And what's the best friend of a quarterback? The tight end. And that's something we have
the
not
tight end.
had.
Yeah,
We as Giant fans have not seen in a very long time is a consistently good tight end that can be reliable and move the chains. And Bellinger
Hmm.
might be that.
Hmm.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Jeff. I mean, I think he led all tight ends in this draft with no drops, which, I mean, coming from us having Evan Ingram, I mean, that's a plus. That's a plus to have. I mean, I know that he has
Yeah.
big hands, so that's going to help him out at the tight end position. But um, I mean, I'm really excited to see how he looks in this offense. I mean, I think that could be a very good player, or let me just say a good player. Maybe not say very good, but a good player going forward that we picked up in the later rounds, which
Hmm.
Shane and company seem to be very good at doing, finding talent in the later rounds. But guys, we are going to close this episode off here, man. I want to say thank you guys so much for coming through in the chat, showing love, getting your thoughts and concerns in the chat. It was always a great time. Jeff, Supertaj, Lou, of course, Coach. I appreciate you guys taking the time to stop by and talk some New York Giants football. Again, you guys can find Coach Edd's YouTube channel in the description below in this video, as well as the link to his website for the League's Alliance. Excuse me, the League of All Leagues Alliance.
Yeah.
Apologies. But
That's
yeah,
all
you
right.
can find the website link there. Coach, Jeff, any last things you guys like to say to the people before we sign up?
Uh, I'm just really looking forward to what the team is going to do, um, and see how we progress. And hopefully, Lou was right. We get the 11 wins, and we're fighting for the division, if not, in a wild card position. So
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
for
agree.
a great season.
Absolutely, man. I think we all are. And I think that, again, we're in a good position right now as a team. And hopefully, we can build on top of this and see it translate on the field.
Mhm.
Jeff, you got any last words to say before we sign out?
I mean, I echo exactly what Coach just said. Just go out there and just we want to see the development of these young kids. Go out there, show some fight during the games. See progression. Show build that foundation of this Giants team. And just go out there and compete. If they can go
Yep.
out there and compete, and maybe they surprise us with at least 8, 9, 10 wins this year. We don't know. Things break our way, that's possible, but just at least go out there and show the fight
Mhm.
that we know that this team is capable of doing. So maybe we're in for a
Absolutely.
surprise, but things are definitely looking up with this franchise, and it's a great relief to see.
Yeah, perfectly said, man. I mean, we could shock a lot of people, and I want to get to a point where we're winning games again and we're competing for the
Mhm.
division and being in the playoffs. And again, to lose point, I don't think that we're that far off. But
Mhm.
guys, please subscribe to these guys below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.